Hello everyone, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Back on a Saturday night, 8 PM with the Pocher Porsche 917K. What a beautiful model this is. Right, so when I left you last time, we talked about getting this engine mounted in its frame, and we got it all in there. And here's the frame. Here we go, there's all the frame parts. And as you can see, I've been going in, filling in ejector pin marks, sanding them out and everything. Same on here on the main subframe base. You can see here we've got those filled in, and basically this needs to be painted, and before I can do that I need to etch prime the bare metal parts, otherwise the paint will just fall off basically. So unfortunately the weather has been very cold and or damp, so it's been very windy as well the last couple of weeks, but this week it's just been very damp, so I haven't been able to get out and get those etch primed, so we'll have to look at doing those next week, or I'll have to think about etch priming them in the house, which I really don't want to do because it is vile, the smell of that stuff, and obviously it's acidic, so I don't really want to be spraying that around, especially with little one. So I thought what I'd do is start looking at getting on with getting these plug leads done. Now if you remember, we had these vinyl plug leads or silicone plug leads as supplied by Pocher, and for one I think they're a bit too fat, and for two I don't like the way you can't sort of control them. So what I've done, I've got some wire here. This is actually telephone cable, and these are the red wires out of the telephone cable, and with this one you can see you can bend it and position it. I did actually buy this, which I said I was going to get 20, I think it's 28 AWG. But again, it has a silicone coating, so it doesn't really, it does kind of, but not really stay where you put it. And also I bought it thinking it was 1.1 millimeter, which is like close enough, but it's actually 1.2. So again, I think it's a bit too fat. Now I've looked online, and if you remember, I said in the last video that I believe that HT leads were always about 6 or 8 millimeters for the performance one. Apparently HT leads were about 7 millimeters, and this is 0.9 diameter, so 0.9 times 8 is about 0.7, so is about 7, so it's the right size, so it's absolutely perfect. And of course, as you can see, I can bend it wherever I want to, and I can make it go around any radius I want to, and do whatever I want with it, and it will stay wherever I put it. And if I'm not happy with it, I just pull it and straighten it. And the other thing is, it's not silicone, it's got like a PVC or a vinyl, whatever it is, outer coating, so the super glue is going to stick it really well. So if you remember, the plan was, I said I've got some vinyl tube here which I was going to use, and what I was going to do was put this vinyl tube onto here, cut it off to a certain length, and then stick the wire in, and it fits in there beautifully. Drop a super glue, job done, and that will actually simulate the cap, the rubber cap on the end of the HT lead. Well, turns out it's not really very good, because these little tiny nipples are sticking up, so I'd have to glue that on. So I'd have to cut that off to about, say, 2 millimeters long, put it on there, and then by the time I've got a leader, it's going to look really silly. Please bear in mind as well, through all of this, apparently once you get the engine in the car, a lot of this can't be seen. So what I decided to do was drill them out. And here you can see I've drilled out these, and you can see there's holes in there rather than the dimples. And you will also see I've taken them off the engine because they're super glued on, because it's plastic to metal. When I tried to take them off, it just snapped off the fitting. So what I've done is drilled them out to 1.3, and I've got a piece of 1.2 mil brass rod in there, so you can see there's a piece of brass rod there where it's just going to sit on, so when it comes to fitting it, I can just sit that on there like that, position it as it would be, and then just glue it into place. So we're all good there. And the same on the rear one, that's just going to sit on the rod, glue it into place, job done. So that's all good. Right, so what we're going to do here with these, I'm going to paint these little ends on here, the raised areas. I'm going to paint those black, and then what we'll do, we will put the plug lead into there, super glue it in, we'll have the little black cap on the end, and then we can bring this round and we can have these however we want, and we can get them on the engine, go on the engine, and we can have them coming round, and we can have that coming down and through the gap in the centre, where it's obviously going to come underneath this throttle, and then it's going to come into here. And we've also got these areas here, these cutouts in the actual cam cover there that are going to, there's a puppy hair, that these are going to sit into. And you can see with these straight away, if I get three together like this, okay, I get three of these together, now they will fit into that area there beautifully. Okay, so we don't have the problem, because with the silicone ones I had the problem of getting, there's three there, and you can see they're supposed to be next to each other and they're just too wide to fit in there because they're too big, and because they're silicone tube, when you squeeze them they just collapse, whereas the wire will be able to put some clamps around it, wire around it, whatever, hold it in position, and then put some black paint or tape or whatever to simulate the clamps that hold it all in place. They also have, when they come out of the distributor, they come down into their they come into 2 bunches of 6, and then they go into 4 bunches of 3, and they have what look like plastic blocks where the HT leads go through. So we've got to try and simulate that, and I'll probably use wire and then wrap masking tape around it or something, or it may just be okay just to super glue them together and then put some black paint around or some black tape or whatever. We will see. But how did I do this? Okay, so the next thing I've got to do now obviously is get this this area here painted. I've used a super glue remover and got all that super glue out of there, and then I've come in with a icky stick and just basically sanded away any areas where there was super glue. So now I need to mask up and just repaint those areas, because obviously the super glue remover has affected the paint. So I'm leaving this for a few hours to dry, so that I don't get a reaction when I paint it again. I'll probably just wipe it over with some IPA or something, but we just need to get some masking done and quickly just blow in those areas again. Luckily I've got the paint mixed up, the magnesium colours, so there we go. So how did I do this? Right, so you've got to turn this into this. Now, as you can see, I've painted these. When you get them in the kit, they are painted, but I think they're a bit too bright, so I've changed them for this more sort of orangey colour, which is the correct sort of Bosch distributor cap colour. So the first thing to do is get all those nipples off. So I've got my God hands here, so I'm just going to go in and take off. What we need to do is take the outer line off first. Okay. Alright, and just cut all them off. And then once we've done that, we can come and sand it. Now I've already gone too far on that one, as you can see. So I'm going to do this under a magnifier because I can't see what I'm doing because I'm blind as a bat. So I'll come back when I've cut all those off. Okay, so as you can see, they're all cut off. And we've got a nice sort of circular centre to aim for. So what I'll do is just I've got a 600 grit sanding stick here. And I'm just going to take off some more of the plastic. As you can see, that one there, I went a little bit too far. So when we've got these like this, you can see that we've got these circular areas marked out by the black plastic versus they're primed in white at the Pocher factory. So all I've got to do now is come along with this and make a pin mark in the centre and then drill them. So again, I'm going to go this under a magnifier, I'll make the pin marks and then I'll drill them. Okay, so they're all drilled out now. I centre popped them and drilled them out, 0.55mm drill just to find the centre. If you do find that it's off centre, just pull the drill over one way and get the hole sort of so that it looks like it's on centre, and then when you come in with a slightly larger drill, it will always follow what you've previously done. So now I've got a 0.7mm drill, so I can come in here and just basically drill this out to 0.7, and what I'm doing is working my way up, and what I'll do is end up with a 0.95 drill. That gives us a nice easy fit. remember, as I say all the time, I think this drill's probably a bit blunt actually. As I say all the time, if you are drilling holes to put brass rod in or something like that, always go like 0.5 or whatever over, and then you've got somewhere for the glue to go. If you have a size for size hole, when you push the pin in, you're just wiping the glue off the surface. So I'm going to get the next size drill up because I think that one's a bit blunt. So the next size up, 0.75. We use this one. And just go back to that same hole. Yeah, this plastic's a bit weird. It's like an ABS type of material. And it's not like styrene. It doesn't drill the same. It's almost like... it's weird. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. Again, with my magnifier. I'm going to go around, drill all these out to 0.75. And then we'll see how they look. And if we need to, then we can pull the drill one way. That's really binding up in there. So yeah, if the hole's sort of off to one side, you just go in and just pull the hole one way, end up with an over hole, and then the next drill will find the easiest path through. So I'm going to have to change this drill again, because for some reason, I don't know what's going on here. Let's go down to 0.65. As I say, it's a weird material. That drill's not in there straight. It's better. So that one there is okay. That one there is okay. Yeah, there we go, right. So I'm going to go around and do that, and then what I'll do is basically go around and just keep going until I drill them out to 0.95. See you then. We're back. So as you can see, all drilled out, and I've painted the ends black so it looks like they've got the rubber caps on them, which adds another touch of realism. So you can see there, if we put the lead in that one, you can see now that looks a lot more realistic, doesn't it? And I'm beginning to think that when you see them bunched up together, they actually look much better size-wise as well. Now, if you wonder what all this is, these are the plug caps. If you remember in the old days when you had spark plugs and you didn't have a coil-on plug, you had a lead that came around from a distributor like that. You had a black rubber plug cap. So there's the black rubber plug caps. You can see them on there. I've also done this repair and done that painting as well. You can see the black rubber caps on there. So they're basically just pieces, 5mm long pieces of tubing from an old Tamiya kit or something. And then basically what we're going to see, if you look again here, you can see that what we'll do is we'll put the wire inside, and you can see we have a plug cap. If we can hold the edge at a better angle, you can see we have a plug cap and a spark plug lead, and then that spark plug can be bent and routed, and we'll have it all looking lovely. Okay, so they're glued on with super glue, and because they're not silicone, they've glued a lot better, I think. We'll soon find out. If they haven't glued very well, we'll just redo them. So all I'm doing here, I've got some of the VMS black thin, which you can get from Brooks Models. Don't forget to use your codes NMB10 for £15 to £50, and over £50 you can use NMB20 and get 20% off. So all I'm doing is dipping that in some super glue and then just plonking it on top of the spark plug like that. Give it a good push, and then where we flatten the end, just squeeze it back round again and then give it another nudge. Pick up another one, dip it in the glue, and then push it down over the spark plug just like so. Whoops, where did that go? It's here. Did I get any super glue on there? I think I probably missed the plug, because for some reason I really can't see anything today. It's worse than usual. It's very strange. Normally, in the morning when you get up, it takes half an hour or so for your eyes to start working properly. Well, it does when you're old anyway. There we go, as you can see, just plonk them on, push it down over, let the super glue do its thing, job done. So we'll have plug caps on all of them as well. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is get these glued on, let them dry, and then I'm going to leave it to go hard. This VMS super glue, it's not like normal super glues, it's not instant, it takes a few minutes to stick, which is a disadvantage if you want it to stick straight away, but it's a hell of an advantage if you don't want it to stick straight away, because quite often with super glue, as you know, you sort of put something on like that and you think, oh, I'm just going to reposition it, and it's too late, it's on there. So that's the beauty of it. So it's a downside and a positive. So I'm going to get the rest of these on, and then I think I'm going to start looking at getting the distributors wired up. Alright, so there's all our plug leads on, or spark plug caps, so let those all dry. I'm not going to try and put wires in those yet because they'll just come away. So we've got our original plan as you can see on here. Now because I've actually drilled the distributor caps and the wires are going, they're going to be longer again, so I've cut a couple at 130 millimeters. I think this is about 130 millimeters, isn't it? Yes. So I've cut them all too long and then we can trim them afterwards. And I was thinking as well, for the actual clamps, I think I'm going to use a little bit of heat shrink. The bad news I've got is a friend of mine, Jock, gave me a great big piece of armoured cable from, it was like this, and I took some wire out and now I can't find the rest of the cable. So it's going to be here somewhere. I haven't thrown it away, I just can't find it. So I'm going to have to find it and then probably finish this off in another video. But I can't, or just show you the finished result, whatever, but I can't actually finish it now because I can't find the rest of the wire, and I can't finish it now because I want to leave those plug caps to dry. But basically we're going to go back through the old instructions again. So number 1, which is down here at 6 o'clock, so that one's there, they're both the same, front and rear. They've got these marked front and rear, I don't think there's any difference. So I'm just going to basically dip the end of this wire in the super glue, put it into the hole, okay, and just give it a little, like that. Okay, I don't want any glue showing at the top of the hole. Okay, and then the second one, number 2, is over there at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So we'll put some glue on there. And then number 2 is going in there. And as I say, once again, I'm going to do this and that's it. Then I'm going to do the rest off camera because I can't see what I'm doing. I need a cotton bud. Cotton bud, where are you? Bloody thing here. Just to mop up the excess. Right, so that's that in there, and as you can see, they look great. And then we've got, down and then there's number 8. Now that's going to be, I've got a load here which I've cut off at all sorts of lengths. They're all way too long. Number 8. So what we'll do is we'll put a drop of glue on the end of there, and then we can put that one into there, like so. Go on, in you go. I think when I painted these, I blocked up part of the hole. But there we go. Just mop up the excess, make it look a bit tidier. As I say, none of once the covers are on, none of this is going to be seen. It's crazy, really, but I just want to do it nice. So there we are. So I'm just going to go around and do the rest, and then what we've got to do is come along and somehow get these all bent over nice and tidily, like they are shown here, rather than like these silicone leads are and having them all just like, you know. So we shall get that done as well. I'll have a look at the real engine and see what sort of pattern they come out in. But I'm hoping this is going to be a lot tidier, a lot nicer than having the silicone ones on there, just to make it worthwhile, you know. Now these long ones, I think these are 130, aren't they? I think these are, I think all 3 of these are 130. Yes, they are. So these are going to be long enough also for number 12, which is which is that one there. Yeah, okay, so put the glue on there. Doesn't need much because we're not going to be swinging off them. We are going to be pulling them about, but we're not going to be swinging off them. That can go in there. Beautiful. And then another one, number 11. Wherever that one is, number 11 is at 9 o'clock. Which is about what it is now on Friday evening. There we go. So all looking good, as you can see. Right, I'm going to get the rest of these in, and then I'll come back. And there we go. Glued the distributors on because they need some time to cure, I think, because they're not a very good fit. What I should have done was sanded off the pads before I put the pins in, but it doesn't really matter. They're not under any load or anything. So I decided to glue them both in, and then I'll get this one wired up. So whether this is the end of the video or not, I don't know. It depends on my success at trying to find the rest of this wire. But what I might do tomorrow morning, which should be Saturday, I might come back and get a few of these wires in, just a couple of them, and we'll see if we can find the heat shrink, which I also can't find now. So I'm useless, aren't I? Right, so I will see you either in a couple of minutes, or I'll see you next week. Have a look down at the bottom of the video, and if the red line across the bottom of the video here is like here, then you know we're nearly finished. If it's right over here, then we're done. Alright, so see you in a minute, or see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Okay, we did come back. So I managed to find the wire, but I couldn't find my shrink wrap, my heat shrink. So I ordered some on Amazon, and luckily it's come this morning, so that's cool. So I've got some 2mm and some 2.5mm here. I don't know how they size it, but basically there's the 2.5mm. That's for where I put 6 together, and this is the 2mm. This is where I put 3 together. And as you can see, we have 6 wires there, okay, paired into 3s, and they're all held together there, which is how they are on the real car. So basically what I'm going to do now is bring down the next sort of 3, and then we'll get them all together, and we may even put a bigger one over all of them and get them all together as they come through or something. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we want 7. I mean, this is the firing order. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. But I'll tell you what, guys, something I have realised, I really do need to go and get my eyes tested and get some new glasses, because I am really struggling with this. Okay, so that's going to come around like that. So there's 7. 7. Okay, like that. Get a nice smooth radius. Remember, it's got to come through these intake manifolds. And then 8 is this one here. Yep, so that one's going to come down. And I hope you'll agree, you can see it's starting to look a lot better already. So there's 7 and 8, and then 9 is here, so that's going to come over like that. So what I'm doing here, as I say, I'm not really too bothered about the firing order, to be honest, and having it all correct, but what I'm doing is making sure the longest one is outwards, so just to make sure they're going to reach. If they don't reach, it'll be a simple case of pulling them out and replacing it with a longer piece. But we must have them sort of like this next to each other for when we put the 3 on. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, so we've got the longest one, we've got the shortest one closest to us and the longest one at the back. There we go. So that's how that's going to go, like that. And then we've got 10, 11, 12. So we've got 10 is here. So 10 is going to come over just like they have. 11 is here. That's going to come over like that. And then we've got 12 there finally. They can all come together. So what we can do here is pull these together. Okay, so you can see we've got the two lots of 3 there. So we'll keep them separate. As I say, it doesn't matter at all. You know, unless you're really that bothered about the accuracy, and I don't know for sure. We don't know for sure that Pocher's got it right in the instructions. We're just going by what the instructions tell us for the firing order or the lead positioning on the distributor caps. So that's going to go over there like that, and we've got one more to go in there. There we go. So that's those all together. We'll have that in roughly the same position as that one, and then we'll get a little hot air dryer. Just like that, and that will hold them together. And if you don't go too mad with the heat, you'll be able to slide them around. But as you can see there, we can pull that down. Okay, we've got our 2 lots of 3. Alright, there's one there. Okay, so there's those 3 there. And there's those 3 there. Okay, so these are now going to come down through the inlet manifold onto the engine. So this one's going to go down like that, basically sort of straight down. We'll put a bit of a kick in it, like that. Okay, and this one is going to just take a little turn to the right. And then go down like that. Okay, put a little kick in that one. So there we go, and then we can take our... I used the smaller one on there, didn't I, for the 6? That's why it was so tight. So we can take our little piece of heat shrink. Okay, put that on there, make sure the wires are all next to each other. Get it in roughly the right place. And then I'm going to put a peg on it to hold the wires flat next to each other. Just like so. And then once again with the heat, and then now the peg is holding the wires apart there, I think. So now it's shrunk and sort of stuck in position. So what I can do now is wow, 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 wow. There we go. That's that in there. And then when that goes on, that will sit on the side of the engine like that. And we've got our block to glue to the engine. And then with the wires, because they're rigid, we can bend them around and get them all in position and everything, just like we want to. So finally, I'll just do this one. Just like so, and that one is going to go in roughly the same place. So we'll get the peg on there, hold the wires flat, get that one out of the way. And then we can sort of tacked in place. There we go, that's held, that's going to stay there. Just a bit more. Right, if you want to have a go at this, the way I cut these out is get a rule, put the sleeve on there, okay, get it flush with the end, look on the rule where it is. So that's on, what's that on, sort of 17mm, so I'll put it through to just under 15, and then with my snips I can just cut that off. Okay, and then I'll come to 13. That one's a bit short actually, we threw that one away. And I come to 11. Okay, and remember, I've cut them 2mm long because as they shrink, they're not only shrinking downwards, they shrink in length as well. So, so there we go. I think that one needs a bit more heat. Obviously, don't want to spend too long blasting heat towards the model. There we go. So then that'll bend down there. That can go down like that. So as you can see, because they're pliable, we can now force them to go where we want them to go, rather than with the silicone leads having them all tight. Now, what I haven't tested yet, what I don't know, is how well this heat shrink will super glue to the engine. But I am really happy with that. So that's going to go in like that. That's going to go in like that. We'll move that heat shrink up a bit on that one, and then glue them on. So I'm going to do a little couple of tests, and then I'll come back and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so I've done a little test, and it would appear that the wire glues a lot better than the heat shrink sleeve. So I think what I'm going to have to do is put quite a large dollop of super glue under here and just hope for the best. But what I have to do initially is get these wires cut to length, which is quite a task. So what we're going to do each one individually, and what I've done is start with this number 1 and just basically just take a couple of mil off at a time. Now with this number 2, I want it to sort of bend around, but I want it to flow. I don't want a sharp bend in it. I want it to just flow round as if it's like a silicone HT lead, which is what it is. So that's going to come down like that and then go around like that. So what I'll do is turn it sideways because I don't have anywhere for it to go otherwise. So that still needs to be bent around a bit more. I'm going to cut some of the excess off here. These are old Tamiya cutters, don't worry, don't start shouting at me for using Tamiya cutters for cutting wire. So that's can be twisted round now. So we can see with that one in place and that one there, I can cut a bit more off of there. And then at number 1, get this up a bit higher perhaps. I don't think I can. I've got to be careful of those pipes down there. I should have done the other side first, it would have been easier to show you. But the other side is a lot more complex because we've got to work the pipes, the wires around the injector pump and everything, haven't we? I'm not going to do it all on camera, don't worry guys, I'm going to do it during the week. And then when I come back next week, it will all be done. And hopefully I'll have the space frame all primed and painted, and we can go back to putting all that together. And I've worked out a way of putting it together a lot easier than the instructions. So there we go, so that's 2 there. You can see how long that's taken just to do 1 wire. So I think I can actually afford to take another couple of millimeters off of there. Just literally a couple of mil. And that'll give me a bit of scope for flexibility rather than being held to having it all in. But what I intend to do is glue the ends of the leads in before I glue the cable clips to the engine. Because otherwise, if I try and pull this all about with these bits glued onto the engine, it's just going to all break off and we'll have a mess again. Okay, so you can see how I've done this. So this one again, I want a flowing bend on this one. Bend that up like that. That's going to go down into there, so we can easily cut that much off of there. Okay, and then we can twist that one around. And then pull it in like so. Tweezers cut and everything else. Okay, so I hope one or two of you will have a go at this, because I think you'll agree when you see the finished result, even just looking here at these 3 leads, I think the end result is well worth the effort and the tiny amount of cost it is. But that when you buy the wire, make sure you don't buy silicone insulation wire, because the super glue will not stick it. Yeah, that still needs to go around a bit tighter. I'm really struggling to see this, guys. I've done it too tight. I simply cannot see what I'm doing. This is unbelievable. No, I cannot get that wire to go in there. I cannot see what I'm doing. I doubt you can either. There we go, it's gone in now. You see, when I pull it out, when I pull back to put the second one in, I just pull the first one out. There we go, and that one's gone in naturally on its own. Look at that. There we go. So there, that's all I'm going to show you, because I'm going to do the rest off camera. There you can see, actually, we don't even need to glue these to the cylinder heads. That is all just sat there on its own, no glue whatsoever. And I think you'll agree that that looks so much better than that. Yeah? And for those of you that want to tell me the wires look too skinny, they're not. They're 0.9 millimeters. 0.9 of 8 is about 72, and they were about 7 millimeters, the HT leads. So there we go. So I think that looks superb. Even if I say so myself, I really do think it's worth the effort. Okay, so have a look around. If you want to do this, have a look on Amazon. Get yourself some telephone cable. Get the red wires out of the telephone cable. You need at least 2 meters, I think. The heat shrink came in a pack, and it was £3.99 on Amazon, next day delivery. And it's 127 pieces. There's a load of different manufacturers selling exactly the same thing. It's a 127 piece hint shrink tubing, cable sleeve, shrink ratio 2:1. There are some with bigger ratios. Opening temperature 55 degrees, minimum shrinkage temperature, I can't see because there's a sticker on the back as well. But there we go. Alright, so if you've never seen heat shrink before, basically what it's doing, you are, get the engine out of the way, you are basically taking a piece of sleeve, and then when you heat it, as you will see here, it shrinks. And there you go. But remember, the larger you use, the thicker the cross section. That's why I'm using the smallest I can, and then it ends up like a little tiny slither of next to nothing. So there we go, guys. If you want to have a go, then if I get time, I don't think I'm going to get time because it's actually Saturday now. It's Saturday. It's 1:45 in the afternoon. So in 6 hours, this video is going out. So I've got to get it all edited and done everything. Okay, so here goes. It is now 6 PM. So hopefully I get this out. But there you go. You can see we've got all the plug wiring done now. So that's the complex side, with all those bits and pieces in there. And then over here we have the other side completed, which is the simpler side. That's come away. The trouble is the super glue sticks to the paint and then pulls away from the paint, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. But there we go. You can see it's all looking pretty good. The other thing I wanted to check was these intake trumpets. I wanted to make sure, I thought that rattled then. I want to make sure these will fit, because obviously you've got this shroud part here going around. You've got the trumpets here going around. So basically that is going to fit on there like that. and it does go down, and as you can see it's going to be held down by 4 screws, and you can see the cables here are resisting. But basically what we need to do is make sure, there we go, but basically there we go. So that's going to go, it's going to be held down with 4 screws, probably a drop of super glue as well, and that'll be absolutely lovely. And that's going to have loads of pipework in it as well that's going to connect onto here. So I don't know what that pipework is going to be like. We may end up replacing that as well, we shall see. But there we go. So you can see now with the intake trumpets on how the cables come through there, and how we've got the heat shrink on there and everything. So yeah, really happy with that. I think that looks so much better. If you haven't seen one of these, if you go and look at Pocher's own build on their own channel, the guy is sat there doing it, and you can see how the silicone leads go if you don't bother gluing anything. They just all sort of sit up. But I guess when he puts the inlet manifold on, they're all going to come down, but they're still going to be very, very baggy around this area here. So see how it looks. But I'm really, really pleased. You know, just with this few extra bits of paint, these hoses rather than the black vinyl tubing, and this wiring, I just think it looks a million times better. And then we're going to put a big plate over it and cover it all up. So there we are. So thank you for watching. As I said earlier, I will see you all next week for back to normal with the space frame and everything, and I'll show you how the space frame goes together. A lot easier than the way they show in the instructions. Remember, it's difficult getting these parts down in here, but then we'll press on and get some more work done. So I'll see you back next week. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll just give you one more final look. There you go. That's how she looks with those leads fitted, and the little black rubber caps on which are just basically black paint on the distributor caps. So yeah, I think it's well worth the extra work, especially as when you actually, if you look at pictures of the finished model, you can see that when the clamshell is lifted up, you've got oil tanks and fuel tanks and stuff in that down here, I think, and you can see all of this through the space frame. So I think it looks so much better. So we'll leave that as it is. I'm going to see if I can glue that one back down again, and then go from there. Thank you for watching. Bye.